All the latest propaganda, everything out there in the media is proving that Diego Pavia and Clark Lea has made Vanderbilt cool again, or relevant, or whatever you want to call it. It's Locked On Vandy. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Shout out to you, everydayers. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Speaking of today, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season's right around the corner, so visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. So, on this episode, we're going to talk about this has been kind of one of those off seasons where Vanderbilt has kind of had a little bit more of a forefront in the media. The coverage talking about Diego Pavia, him being a guest everywhere, the Netflix documentary, all of the things out there, media days. Diego Pavia was a rock star there. Like, Vanderbilt is getting some attention. Good, bad, ugly, they're getting attention. They're at least relevant, but it kind of feels like there's an air about Vanderbilt that's almost like this program is kind of like everyone's recognizing that, hey, well, this guy over here, Diego Pavia, is a rock star. This program might, dare I say, be cool, right? And having a program like that with the exposure that you're getting, all the things that people are saying, all the attention you're getting, the fact that people are saying, hey, we got something for you, the fact that Alabama players are responding to trash talk with Vanderbilt, like the fact that all of this is happening means that your program's in a great spot. And when recruits see that, when potential transfer targets see that, when NIL sponsors see a brand that's now starting to get exposure that previously wasn't, man, like the potential is there. And I'm going to talk about that here in just a second, but like, people are talking about how, Vandy's get the over-under set at 4.5 wins. People are talking about how Vandy's going to hit that over. Like, people are starting to give him credit, right? And there's a kicker, the Brocket Launcher, one of my favorite nicknames. It's going to be a pure weapon. So, but if you haven't seen the Netflix documentary, go ahead and turn this off, because this is probably going to be a little bit of a spoiler. Okay, if you haven't seen the Netflix documentary, any given Saturday, turn it off at this point, okay? You can come back to it later, but quit listening, okay? I don't want to spoil it. I don't want you to be like, oh, you spoiled it, okay? Spoiler alert. All right, so episode 3 is the Vandy Alabama game. Episode 5 is the Auburn game. And then episode, I think 7 or 8, I lost count, is the Tennessee game. And what these things do, the social media presence that's increasing with Vanderbilt, the stuff that you see where they peel back the curtain a little bit and you see Clark Lea's personality, you see Diego Pavia's personality, right? The interviews that you hear with Diego Pavia, all of that is kind of brought to life, and you see Vanderbilt in a whole new light. This Netflix documentary, you start to see Vanderbilt as a real viable program. You see a head coach that was once criticized for his lack of passion, for his lack of personality. You see him intense and coaching those guys hard, even dropping a few F-bombs. I love that. He's showing himself as a real person, which I think has been one of the missing pieces for Clark Lea, because I think he was a little afraid at first of his public image and like how it would look if he was seen doing this, that, or the other, or acting a certain way, or thinking he needed to act a certain way and carry himself a certain way to achieve any sort of level of respect or success within the program. And I just think it came off as stale. And I think it came off as kind of, I don't know, like sometimes it looked like he was checked out, right? And I think when you're looking at recruiting and when you're looking at people jumping in, jumping out of the portal, when you look at the movement that's happened within this program, over the first 3 years, and now the movement that's happened lately, it's a vast difference, right? And so the documentary shows you why. And I think recruits and people seeing that are going to be able to say, hey, I want to be a part of that, right? Like, you couldn't watch Any Given Saturday and say, I don't want to be a part of it. Like, Vandy looked like it was a great place to play. Like, Coach Lea looked great. Diego Pavia made it look great. Like, it was just portrayed very, very favorably, despite all the pundits, talking about what Vandy was. I think the message is this: Vandy is not your same old Vandy. This SEC is different. And I think if people in the NIL world see Vanderbilt as a brand, the city of Nashville can embrace that as a brand and call it its own, I think you're going to have a chance to really ignite something that nobody thought was possible. I think there's an angle here, right? And it's something that, would you shed Vandy in that light? You're playing for a coach that's awesome, that has your back, that wants the best for you, that's going to prepare you, right? That's going to motivate you, that's going to do everything you need a coach to do. You see that now. You probably didn't see that before because Vandy was in the shadows. This has brought it to light. People talking about Vanderbilt, like Paul Feinbaum, using his airwaves that are normally reserved for Auburn and Alabama 90% of the time, and then Georgia and Texas the other 10. He's talking about Vanderbilt and how, he's probably got a little bit different opinion of Vanderbilt. He's probably just trying to pander to the people who are like, it's just Vanderbilt, right? But he's talking about it. Ryan Williams responded to John Gruden. He could have blown that off, but he didn't. Sledgehammer and Ants. He could have blown that comment right off and just laughed it off and moved on, right? Because it's just Vanderbilt. Who cares? They got us. Congratulations. But he responded. Vanderbilt sent a message. All of that. You see all of that. That's all propaganda. It is what it is. Propaganda. Propaganda has such a weird connotation to it, but that's what it is, right? And Vandy's getting a lot of love, and Vandy is making this look good. Vandy is helping itself and helping its image and helping its brand by all of this stuff, right? This south end zone looks phenomenal, right? It looks phenomenal. Here's what I posted on X, and it's not courtesy of Vern Funquist. Shout out to Chris Marler. But RIP the swinging scoreboard. This is how it looks, right? That's not a full shot of the south end zone, but it's coming together, right? Like, people are jumping on board of that stuff. Tennessee fans are, they jump into the comments, right? And they say we're obsessed. But, I think Vanderbilt has gotten a lot of people's attention. NIL potential is there. Like I said, Nashville's going to see it as their brand. They're going to jump on it. They're going to see all this stuff. Hey, Vanderbilt is on the tip of everybody's tongue. Vanderbilt is a topic now. Vanderbilt was never a topic. Vanderbilt was always, if I'm going to give a newspaper reference, they were always back page, lower quarter panel. That's where Vanderbilt was. Vanderbilt was always, hey, rookie, you're new to reporting, go cover Vanderbilt. That's where Vanderbilt was. That's where they've been for the better part of their existence, outside of a few years. James Franklin was the last time I think Vanderbilt really felt like it was a true topic. But with NIL, with Nashville being a destination that people want to go, I think Diego Pavia has started something here, and Clark Lea is capitalizing on that. Clark Lea realized as soon as he met Diego Pavia, he realized one thing. He goes, this is a game changer. We might actually be a full-on brand. And the Netflix documentary is like the exclamation point, the cherry on top, whatever the case may be. But Clark Lea, Diego Pavia, and this team, I think, were shed in a very, very good light. They come off as a viable program, physical, tough, high expectations, not satisfied. And Clark Lea showed every ounce of passion that we thought he had, that we hoped he had, but did not show, I feel like, well enough in his first 2-3 years. Right? And I guarantee you he did some soul searching. And I guarantee you that passion's always been there. It's his alma mater. He came home. But him being able to show it, I think getting people in his corner and realizing that he is actually okay with his footing. He is actually in a safe spot. He's actually got people in his corner. He just needed to unlock himself. And people are going to say, well, it took Diego Pavia and Jerry Kill to unlock him. What's he going to do when they leave? To me, I think he's already unlocked. So I just think this is what you're going to get with him. And I love it. I'm here for it, right? And if it took those two to unlock him, then that was a godsend. That was a gift from the heavens for those two to get into this program. And Clark Lea made a brilliant decision to bring those two into the program. It's done nothing but make positive gains. You can hate Diego Pavia all you want to, but I guarantee you, that's what you want as your quarterback. That's the guy that you want. You want that confidence. There's a reason why guys follow him. It's confidence. Yeah, does it err on the side of cockiness a little bit? Yeah. But as a quarterback, that's what you need. In a violent sport at that position, you need somebody crazy enough to believe. And that's how Vanderbilt won 7 games. They had no business winning 7 games. You look at their roster, they had no business winning 7 games. You look at the rosters, definitely of the conference games, they were outmanned in every single game if you stacked roster versus roster. Every single SEC game, even Virginia Tech. But how did they win? How did they go on the road at Jordan-Hare and win? And that's what was shown in the documentary. Excuse me. That's what you got to see. That's why Vanderbilt's having one of their best recruiting classes they've had in a long time. That's why NIL potential is there. That's why it's all happening. So, speaking of potential, there's an analyst that's showing a lot of love to Vandy. 4.5 wins is the over-under. He's taking the over. I agree with him. I'll tell you all about it next. But first, I want to tell you all about Wayfair, okay? Because Wayfair is where it's at. As the summer winds down, we're getting close to football season. There's something nice about getting back into the routine you love. And Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for the season ahead. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair is the one-stop shop to refresh your home. So I had this room. This player was a bonus room. All right. Had everything, right? Had an entertainment center. Everything was kind of set up, but it was like missing one piece. I went on Wayfair, found an end table to go between the 2 chairs. Perfect fit, right? Fits my style, fits the space, just finishes off that space really nicely. Man, it's perfect time to get my home ready, man. It's whether I'm organizing, upgrading my workspace, making weeknight dinners easier, whatever the case may be, cleaning out the attic even. Man, Wayfair's a place to go. So get organized, get refreshed, get back on a routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now. Shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Locked on Vandy, thanks for making us your first listen. Thanks for making us your first visit, your first view, however you found us. It's your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Man, it's great, man. It's been a great week. Fall camp is upon us. Week 0 is next week, which means we're one more week away from the regular season starting. Unless you're Iowa State or Kansas State, you're playing next week, of course, and you're excited for even better reasons. But for all of us other mere mortals that aren't playing on week 0, it's 2 weeks away, guys. It's coming. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC, place to go. Talked about how the latest media exposure, propaganda, all that stuff boost NIL potential, how it shows Vanderbilt in a really positive light, how it makes Vanderbilt, elevate their status as a brand, all that good stuff. Man, I just think it's out there. Vanderbilt's a topic now. They weren't always a topic. They're a topic. That's exciting. That's a step in the right direction. Are they the main topic? No, but they are a topic. Were they a topic last year? No, other than like Clark Lea was going to be the first coach fired. That was about the only topic last year that they were talking about Vanderbilt. Or could this numbskull Diego Pavia do anything at the quarterback position from New Mexico State? Like he was their only hope. And those are only talking points last year. We shattered those, blew those right up. And it's a good thing. It's a great thing. So FanDuel, amongst other betting sites, FanDuel's our people, so we're going to trust them. They have Vanderbilt sitting at 4.5 wins on the over-under. Now, as you can see here, I am taking the over. There was another podcast, and I'm sure this is a topic of discussion, and the fact that Vanderbilt was brought up as more than just part of a graphic. The fact that Vanderbilt was brought up for discussion of whether or not they were going to hit the over-under is also a really, really good thing to tie it into topic number one. But Vanderbilt going over on 4.5 wins, I agree. And all the reasons that I've talked about on any show that I've made since the offseason started, right, is the reason why I think Vanderbilt's going to hit the over on the 4.5 wins, right? And I agree with them. And it's great. Like I said, it's great to hear that other people that normally would say, no, take the under, smash the under, they're never going to reach that 7 wins again. It's Vanderbilt. It was a fluke. It was, none of but they don't know. A lot of these people that are saying that don't know that Randon Fontenette is a real life Rambo. They don't know that Diego Pavia has been working on footwork and pocket presence and things. People don't know that the guy I'm about to talk about next segment is going to be an absolute weapon. He's automatic points from what I've heard. People don't know that. People don't know that this is the most loaded offensive line that Vanderbilt's had in quite some time. The competition there is insane. The defensive line's the same way. The linebackers are probably even better than that. The DBs, we don't know who's going to emerge, but there's a lot of competition there. Same with the wide receivers. Like there's going to be some production at those two positions because the competition breeds that. And so what you're looking at now is you're looking at a team that I think even with a hard schedule, and here's the schedule, okay? Actually, let me post this one up because it has kickoff times. Even with this schedule, and I'm including the times because they might somewhat be relevant in some of these games. They might change the scope of some of these games. But, you look at this schedule and you're saying, okay, well, where are these 6, 7, 8 wins coming? And, I think that, all these teams are obviously better. But, Virginia Tech, I think, honestly, they're going to take a step back from last year. They were 6-6. I think this is kind of a make or break year for Brent Pry, and I'm not so sure that they're heading in the right direction. South Carolina, you lose Kyle Kennard. Is Dylan Stewart really the guy, or was he benefiting from Kyle Kennard? We'll find that out. I think Dylan Stewart is a bona fide NFL draft pick, obviously, but we don't know the rest of the defense around him. We don't know if Dylan Stewart's going to have similar opportunities because of the talent that was left around him. Like, I don't know what the dynamic of that defense is going to look like this year. We'll know right away when they play Virginia Tech, but we won't know, right? Going back to the schedule, Georgia State, obviously that game, if Vanderbilt's not pissed off and hang 70 on them, then we got some problems. Utah State's going to be well coached. First time they've ever played them in franchise history, in program history. Bama, you're looking at a chance, honestly, to go 5-0 into Bama. You're looking at a chance of getting through Bama. You have a legitimate chance at no worse than 5-1. You're looking at a legitimate chance at worst case scenario being 4-2. Worst case scenario being 4-2, right? When in most years it would be best case would be 3-3. Most years, best case would be 3-3 coming out of that first half. But they have a legit shot at going 5-0 heading into Bama. They have a legitimate shot at that. And I don't care what you South Carolina fans say. Vandy's gotten better. Obviously, South Carolina's gotten better too. I'm not discounting that. But I think there's a lot of factors at hand. And I made the bold prediction that they're going to beat South Carolina. I'm going to stick with that, right? And it's not going to be, I'm not saying South Carolina sucks. I'm saying this is going to be a great game, and Vanderbilt's going to outplay them because they are due. It's a streak, man. The streaks have to end at some point, and streaks usually end in a weird, unsettling, awful fashion. Any sort of winning streak usually ends in the worst way possible. That's usually how they end. So it's going to be some ugly win. There's going to be, whatever. But like, you could hit the over in the first 5 games. Like, that's a legitimate possibility. So I'm very much in favor of that. I'm glad people are starting to kind of see that Vanderbilt is not the same old Vanderbilt, and people are starting to see that maybe this 4.5 wins might be a little too low. All right, Las Vegas, if you're listening, the win total's 2.5. That's for you, Vegas. The win total's 2.5, Vegas. Vandy's not going to win more than 3 games. That was for you, Vegas. All right, for everybody else, take the over. Right, take the over. I'm going to take the over myself. So I'm putting my own money up. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to get on FanDuel right now. Take the over. So speaking of FanDuel, there's some really good stuff happening there. There's some really good stuff happening in the world of special teams. You got an absolute monster of a weapon. The Brocket Launcher himself. We're going to talk about the impact he's going to make next. Yeah, that's right. I said FanDuel. You got it. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day. Did you know that? It's a new holiday. It's a holiday. Every day's a holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. Just for just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling for MVP, eyeing long shot division winners, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before Week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. All right. So take a flyer on the MVP race, man. And guess what? You should take Josh Allen. Mr. Hard Knocks himself, Josh Allen. Crown your champion in August. That's a tougher one. I'm going to say Philly. Philly's going to beat Buffalo. That's what's going to happen. Or parlay your division winner dark horses like the Falcons. I don't even know if they're a dark horse. I don't know if you consider them a dark horse, but Michael Penix is going to have a monster year. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because future day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. All right, wrapping up the show here, Locked On Vandy. At Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will, I'd love to have you. The subscriber base is growing. The show is growing. Everything is happening like it should. I'm very excited about where we're at, and I'm happy that you guys are along for the ride. I legitimately am. So as we wrap up the show, let's talk about something that we probably rarely ever talk about unless they screw up. And occasionally when they kick a game winner. All right, we're talking about the Brocket Launcher, right? He is a Lou Groza Award finalist, okay? And we'll give him some shine here. You're probably not clicking on this video, but we're going to give you some shine, all right? But this guy is going to, like, if Vanderbilt's going to start 5-0, I think having a kicker that is pretty much in range once you cross the 50 is a weapon. It's a weapon. Because if you cross the 50 and you get stalled, that's 3 points, which is better than what? 0 points in a punt, right? Because you burn clock and you get points out of it. So if you can get the ball across the 50, I think also having the Brocket Launcher and being in more consistent form with bigger range, that you have the ability as an offense to be more aggressive. And that helps you tremendously, because I think in some instances where you were just trying to get in field goal range and you didn't want to you can take more chances. You can push the ball down the field more. I think there's going to be more touchdowns that it's netted from having a great kicker. This is a stat dive that I might do, but if someone out there listening wants to do the stat dive, by all means, go right ahead, right? But having a great kicker, having a Lou Groza semifinalist, watch list, whatever you call it, having a Lou Groza candidate on your roster, what does that do for your offense, right? What does that do for your offense? I would love to know, because, and this might be something I investigate, because I've never really thought about it until just now, until I saw him on the list and he was talking about kicking 60-yarders and all that stuff, right? I never really thought about it, but here's my initial thing with that. When you have a great kicker, what's the mindset? Okay, because obviously everything has a psychological effect to it, right? Like, making this thing full circle, like, you see all of that stuff this summer. Like, it does have a psychological effect. Like, the guys watching Diego Pavia on Bussin' with the Boys are like, oh my God, like, this guy is putting himself out there on Bussin' with the Boys, one of the most widely tuned in podcasts on YouTube or the podcast stratosphere. And he's talking about that. He's talking about winning national champions. Like, he believes that much. Well, if he believes enough to put himself on the chopping block, maybe I should believe, right? Like, everything has a psychological effect to your team. The ripples, right? Clark Lea allowing that to happen shows that he's confident too. Shows he believes it. Shows he believes what Diego Pavia is saying. So it says he endorses what he's saying, right? The psychological effects of that are your team's about ready to run through a brick wall, right? Psychological effects of knowing that your guys are competing, whether or not they're successful or not on any given play, just knowing your guys are going to work their butt off to get open or whatever. For a quarterback, I think goes a long way into building that trust of, hey, if I deliver this ball to you, you're going to do something with it. Defensively, knowing that you have a dude that's going to be disciplined and do his job and not try to play hero ball goes a long way. So having a kicker that you can rely on, like, I guarantee you as a coach, if you had a shaky kicker, you're probably going to be more conservative in some instances. Like, whether if you're like on the edge of field goal range, and you're going to be more conservative, so like you can burn clock and maybe try to just chip away at as many yards as you can so that you can try. Some coaches will be more aggressive. Like, it changes the way a coach thinks. I think honestly, it's going to make them. I don't know. It's interesting because I've never really thought about this until just now. This is a topic that came up, and I was thinking my way through it. And for me, I would be more aggressive, because if I knew this kicker had great range, I would try to push the ball downfield probably more, right? I'm not going to just try to get as many yards as I can and try to salvage those 3 points and just try to get, a grinded out first down. Like, I'm going to be more aggressive in my play calling as an offensive coordinator if I know that we have a kicker that is automatic, because we're going to get those 3 points. So I might as well try to push the ball down and try to get the 6. And I think you're going to net more touchdowns that way. I think you're going to be at a better position to have better scoring efficiency in the red area or right outside the red area. I think you're going to have more situations to where even if you just completely die out at the 35-yard line, or even further, like, you have that confidence, like, okay, we're going to get 3 points. It's okay. And your defense is like, all right, we got some points. Like, we got a little bit of reprieve. We got a little bit closer. So, like, that's going to energize us to go make a stop, right? Because if your punter's trotting out there and you're on the edge of field goal range and you don't feel confident your punter trots out there, your defense is like, we got to carry it. There's just way more pressure involved on that. So I'm kind of curious to do a deeper dive on that, how kickers affect offense and defensive play calling. And somebody out there listening, if you want to, leave it in the comments, drop in the comments, all that good stuff. But we're going to leave you there. another scrimmage happening this weekend. I think we're heading in the right direction here. I think things are becoming more solidified. I think you're going to have a lot of answers in a lot of different positions of need. So this is going to be a fun ride for Vanderbilt football. It's the brand is building, guys. So just stay on board. The brand is building. Nashville needs its team. Nashville needs its heroes. Let's make that happen. All right. But until next time, Locked On Vandy, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the flip side. Anchor down. Have a great weekend. If you go to the scrimmage, be careful, enjoy, and we'll see you back here next time. Peace.